Finance Corporation and the Bath County Board of Education working session, March 23rd, 2026 at 6 p.m. All right, so we're going to start with I guess Brittany. Is it to confirm Finance Corporation? Okay.
The Bath County Finance Corporation is made up of the board members, which of course Ms. Razor is the chairperson of the Finance Committee, and Ms. Bolin is the co-chair, and then Eric and Ashley and Kim are the other members. I am the secretary, and the treasurer is Brittany Combs. So we have quorum, we're all here.
All right. Number 3 is to adopt a resolution authorizing the issuance of revenue bonds. Lincoln.
But do we want to go over bonding capacity first, or it's completely up to you guys? That's the handout that I dropped off a second ago. Yeah, and I know you guys may have been through this in the past, but if I can take 10 minutes and kind of go through again, just real slow, you guys are in a great position. I want to kind of point out how conservative of a spot that you are given your current finances. My presentation over my 20-year career hasn't changed. Borrowing money for a school building project is exactly similar to taking out a loan to mortgage a new home. You sit down with your loan officer and they say, well, tell me all about your current debts. If you'll turn to page 1 of this handout, you'll see each column represents the principal plus interest that you currently owe on previous financed school building projects. If you jump to the far right-hand column I, you'll see that for the next 2 years, the sum is $1,650,000, and then as you go farther out in time, the total amount each fiscal year that you owe decreases. That's sort of a universal norm. Anybody who has any debt on a car, a home, typically the debt is the heaviest the first few years, and then as you go out farther in time, you pay off some of that debt. So the first kind of rhetorical question is, where are you getting the money to pay your current obligations? And then we'll point out how much you actually have left over for this project and future projects. If you'll turn to page 2, these are your revenue streams that are dedicated specifically for building fund projects. So no salaries, no textbooks, just bricks and mortar. Think of it that way. Column B represents 5 cents for every $100 of assessed property value. And here in Bath County, based on the most recent data presented by KDE of your assessed property value, your nickel generates $376,000 annually. So that's revenue that comes into your district from yourselves, from your property tax bill. Column C, you guys several years back added a second 5-cent tax, which generates an additional revenue stream each fiscal year of another $176,000. I want to point out that as you look down this column B and C, I am not making any projections of future property value growth. That's, when we sell your bonds, we present your finances to the market, to the investors. All they care about is today. They want to see a snapshot of your finances as it is today. The takeaway there, though, is that, of course, we would hope over the next 10, 15 years, your property value is going to continue to increase. So just kind of notate there how that's being conservative. Column D, your capital outlay. This is simply $100 for every student. I want to talk just for a second, columns E and F, equalization. It's labeled FSPK, which stands for the Facilities Support Program of Kentucky. I want to think back to your nickel, the 5 cents that you get from your tax base. and think about Campbell County, Boone County, Fayette County, these very property-rich districts, they receive so much more revenue from their 5 cents per $100 of assessed property value. The SEEK formula through this Facilities Support Program of Kentucky says, well, we need to kind of level the playing field amongst rural districts and property-rich districts. So what they do is essentially take every piece of taxable property in the entire state, get that really big number, and find out what the statewide average nickel per student would be. That happens, I'm getting into the weeds, but currently that happens to be $605 per student. Well, in Bath County, if you don't generate enough revenue from yourselves to get to that $605 per student threshold, the state comes in and provides the difference that it takes to get to that. And so I kind of, on my sheet here, I'm drawing an arrow and connecting column B with column E. You collect that $376,000 from yourselves, but the state matches it with $622,000 in order to get up to that $605 per student threshold. That's the beauty of the recallable nickel. Column C, that second $376,000 that you guys collect from yourselves is also equalized by column F. When you add those revenue sources together, column G shows that you have each year, conservatively, $2,135,000 coming in that's restricted for building fund. In column H, we simply subtract out your obligations that we've seen on page 1. Column I then is the net dollars available each year over the next 20 years that you could use for bond payments or debt service payments. Also in column J, we add in your most recent offer of assistance from the School Facilities Construction Commission. It's based on the amount of unmet need on your facility plan as it relates to kind of your district's slice of the pie compared to the overall state need. SFCC says that they will pay you $23,995,000 a year towards debt service on, actually would be used on this project. It has to be used on a priority 1 or 2 project. What all that means, column K essentially is the number that I'm able to throw in my computer and say, what's the maximum borrowing capacity of Bath County based on column K, free and clear. This is your free and clear revenue. Page 3, column C, sort of is the bottom line. So by definition, and for me to share your maximum bonding capacity, that would mean for you to use everything. And so column C at the bottom shows that if you were to issue an $11,500,000 mortgage, so to speak, anytime I say bond, just think of it as mortgage. I'm using very conservative interest rates in column D. That would be your maximum borrowing capacity today. And if you jump to the far right-hand column K, that shows that, for lack of a better term, you are quote-unquote bonded out if you issued $11,500,000. Of course, we're not doing that. But for me to share the maximum capacity, that's where you're at, conservatively. The good news, and I promise I'm almost finished. There's better good news than that. But the good news is that if you think back to that equalization formula, every 2 years, again, for lack of a better term, the rich keep getting richer. The Campbell counties of the state, their property values grow faster typically than the rural districts. And so every 2 years when KDE goes and recalculates what that threshold that was $605 per student, the current budget, of course, things aren't completely hammered out in Frankfort, but all budgets that have come out so far, the governor's budget, the House budget, the Senate budget, and a high degree of confidence that I've received from KDE, who calculates this formula, says that the new threshold, instead of being $605 per student, will be $679 per student. So if you'll turn to page 4, the only change on page 4, if you look at columns E and F, notice the jump between fiscal year 26 and fiscal year 27 in those revenue streams that come in from the state. Again, that's just the result of that statewide average threshold being recalculated higher. If you'll flip again to page 5, page 5 is what your bonding capacity is reasonably anticipated to be July 1. So with this increase in revenue that's in the current budget, your bonding capacity would increase an additional $4,100,000 to $15,600,000. In summary, on page 6, I think it's safe to think about your bonding capacity as being $15,600,000. If you subtract out the $6,985,000, which will be the amounts necessary to fund this current project, which we'll be discussing on the BG1, that would leave you in the future more than $8.5 million going forward after this project. I know that was a lot of information real quick. Somebody's got to have questions.
Does this budget include the $7 million that we got from the state to use towards this middle school?
Do we want to discuss the BG1 now, or, I mean, I can,
It's separate? Okay. Okay, that's an easy answer.
I understand the question now, yes. So the $7 million is used on this project, but it is not factored into the $15 million at all.
Okay, so the $7 million that we got from the state is not anywhere in this formula, correct?
Not at all.
Okay, so that gives us a good idea of how much we could use, because the middle school, you know, as we already know, the bids and everything that needed to be done, that we still have that full, you know, so if we do use an additional, I'll just say 7,000, because it's 6985, we still have 8.5 million. Okay. I
Yep.
just wanted everybody to be, because I didn't know if everyone knew if the 7 million was included or not.
Not in these numbers, no.
Okay.
So as the Finance Corporation, for consideration would be the bottom, I don't know if you guys have this in your packet, if they're both on the same page, it's going to be the larger of the two. Yes. So do I read this into the record? I'll read. So for consideration then is a resolution of the Board of Directors of the Bath County School District Finance Corporation relating to and providing for the issuance of $6,985,000 principal amount, subject to a permitted adjustment of 10% of school building revenue bonds in accordance with sections 58.180 and 162.120 through 162.300 and 162.385 of the Kentucky Revised Statutes to provide funds for school building purposes, providing and determining the duty of said corporation in connection with the operation of the school property, the creation of funds sufficient to pay the principal of and interest on said revenue bonds as and when they mature, the creation of adequate maintenance and insurance funds, and authorizing the execution of a lease of such foregoing property to the Board of Education of the Bath County School District.
Thank you. Can I get a motion to approve that? I'll second it. Do we need everyone's? Okay. So I have a motion and a second for the Bath County School District Finance Corporation resolution. All in favor say yes.
Yes.
Anyone? No? Then it passes. Motion passes.
Thank you, guys.
Discussion of tonight's agenda. Is that for tonight's? Oh, okay.
I had it traveled to the agenda. It's good. Yes. Yes.
Okay. So everything's good? All right. Discussion of consent items. Anything we need to discuss? Nope. All right. Discussion of the Bath County Middle School BG number 25-084 bids, BG1, and special inspections, commissioning services, and change order proposal.
Hello, good evening. Bids were received on March the 3rd, and I'm happy to tell you, as you probably know, they were very competitive. We were extremely pleased with the results and the final number, and we provided to you our CM letter of recommendation that's before you tonight. So before I get into much more than that, I just want to ask if there are any questions. So in summary, from the bids that we received on bid day, the base bids came in at $12,281,000, and then you have alternates 4 through 9, which were selected, and that made the total $12,532,000. That's construction cost, and that number that we have for construction is also rolled into your new updated revised BG1 that we have tonight for you. And I have preloaded that, Brittany, into FactPack in Frankfurt. So pending no changes to that, we'll be ready to get that executed and get it finalized tomorrow. Does anyone have any questions regarding the bids?
I do, Bob.
Yes, ma'am.
After everything is submitted and approved through Frankfurt, when do you all anticipate begin
Anticipate what now? I'm sorry.
starting on the,
Okay, that's a good question. I'm happy to answer that. We will execute contracts with the contractors the day after the bond sale, and the bond sale is on April the 2nd. So we will execute contracts on April the 3rd. I believe that's a Friday. And we've issued that in our draft contract documents to be the start date. Now that will take about 10 days for them to mobilize, get some things going, but we've already begun behind the scenes. We intend to have our first progress meeting and our kickoff meeting on April the 20th. And I believe we've requested to use your annex, Dr. Melton. If that hasn't been approved, we'd like to talk about that and get your blessing, but we're ready to go. we're excited and we're happy that we got to this point. So we expect to start, like I said, April the 3rd. We'll have our first meeting on April the 20th. Substantial completion for the project will be September 3rd, 2028. That's just a few months down the road. Final completion will be October the 3rd. So we expect that you will be able to, I'm sure there's be things that will come up and adjustments be made, but it'll be exciting. And I'm not sure if you're going to have a mid-year move-in over the holiday break, but that'd be a good time for it.
Thank you.
Okay.
Hi, everyone. So when it comes to the next items, let's start with the special inspections proposal. So we solicited 3 different companies, and the recommendation that we have for you today is with UES. They had the lowest total, and they had similar amount of turnaround time for actually doing their services, 24 hours basically, for their notice of work. So between the 3, and this one being the lowest, we recommend that UES is the special inspector for this project. The goal, though, for them is that they were going to be your third-party, independent agent to go and make sure that all things that are buried, all things that are structural, they're all meeting code requirements, and that they're meeting standards and specifications beyond what we would ultimately also review and confirm. So at least there's a person who is dedicated to solely making sure that all things buried, structural, whatnot, are compliant with code, with standard practices, in case we are not on site as architects verifying ourselves. But they would work directly with the construction manager and the actual contractors when they need to do concrete pours, or if they need to erect some steel, they'll be notified to come and observe that work and document it. Any questions about special inspections or what their services might include?
What does their services include? And did you say it was UES?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Yes. So, but overall, their services, I mean, it's probably more detailed in the proposal, but the way I basically put it down, it's anything in the site that's buried, anything structural with steel or concrete, those are the things that they would come out and assess and make sure that they meet the code standards that are in the specifications and in the building code itself.
Okay.
When it comes to the next item, this is a proposal for commissioning of your HVAC system and of your lighting. Ultimately, they're here to make sure that everything is up and running and performing beyond, again, what the engineers would verify. So this is kind of similar to the high school, where if there were issues with the controls for the HVAC system, or make sure that sensors are working, or making sure that the interface for how the system is reading on the screen for Phil or Tim to make sure that they're all getting alerted with the right things, commissioning comes in and makes sure all of that is good to go. Not a part of this, but almost like paired with them, is testing and balancing. Granted, testing and balancing is not a part of this. That's covered by the contractor. They'll be able to handle that work. This is truly, again, another third-party agent to come out and make sure that they have all of your lighting and your HVAC functioning and appropriate beyond what the specifications would handle. So just an extra check for you all to have everything up and running. For that, like I mentioned, it's 2 scope of services. So it's HVAC / domestic hot water commissioning, and then the second one being lighting controls. All of that under facility commissioning group would be the recommendation there. We did ask for other bids to see if there was another price to compare against. These were the only people to actually respond to the bids. They were the ones who also did the high school project, if that helps kind of give you a frame of reference. So they're familiar with you as a client, but out of all the people we reached out to, only this one submitted the bids in time for actually to make it acceptable for us to recommend. Okay, I think that brings us to maybe the last item, if I'm not mistaken, out of that list. It's for a change order. Yes, change order proposal. So back in December, when we did a bid package for the switchgear, That came in, I believe, at 92,000 and some change. And when we evaluated the update from the city regarding whether we need to do some sprinkler work or additional fire alarm work, it turns out that we did not need to include a component of the switchgear. That basically reduced the price by about $5,000.
$176.
Yes, yeah, $5,176. So ultimately, this change order proposal is to remove that one component that's no longer needed and reduces your total switchgear package to be about $87,000 instead of $92,000. So, because that's a formal contract change, bringing it in front of you to make sure that you have the final say, that you're comfortable with that. Either way, they're fabricating the switchgear, and it's scheduled to be here, I believe, June 1st. Okay, thanks, Bob. June 1st. So it'll be in time for us to do all of our summer work switching over, and there isn't any anticipated, let's say, lag time for the contractors to do the improvements over the summer with the switchgear present. So we have a date, we have a change order to help remove a component that's not needed, and that's all we have for you.
All right. Any questions? No? Thank you, Jonathan.
Yeah, thank you all.
All right. Discussion of the Bath County High School prom. Oh, good, okay.
Hello, how are you guys? We're here just to discuss prom with you. If you guys have any questions, we had originally or have planned to have it at the Clay Community Center this year. It was kind of brought to my attention that we needed board approval, which I was unaware of. So we're just here. I have Miss Eisenhower here with me. She is our prom sponsor, so she can go over like any details about cost, the cost difference in having it here at the high school versus at the Clay Community Center, so we can give you all the information that we need to give you guys about prom and the difference in locations as far as money goes. Another thing we want to think about is academics. Miss Eisenhower is in a tested area. She's a junior sponsor. If she's out of her class, that takes her out of class for a whole week to decorate for prom, which keeps our students from getting that content during that time. Also, another reason why we like to have it there, of course, our children want it there. We have polled our students. They all loved the location last year. They thought it was more elegant. They thought it was just a different atmosphere. And then finally, safety, because where we have the after prom at 10th Frame and Sterling Lanes, they only have to travel a short distance to get there. So I'll let Ms. Eisenhower kind of give you a little bit of information about cost effectiveness.
Right now, the way things are going, we know that we can rent the Clay Center for $1,600. And any of the extra decorations and stuff like that, I've already done that, and we're in the process of buying that right now. It comes to about $3,300 for just the decorations, because we don't have to do extra, because it's already beautiful over there, so we don't have to do as much. Here, if we have to do this, we have to, one, get all the tarps laid down, then we have to do the ceilings and all the rest of the decorations to transform that gym into something absolutely gorgeous. It takes a lot of time and a lot of effort. And I'm not talking about just the little things. I'm talking about everything, the tables being set up, the chairs being set up, trying to make sure that we've got all the right stuff, all the right electricity needs and everything else like that. And at the present moment, it will cost us an extra $5,000 beyond what we would do at the Clay Center. And I've taken a poll, and all my kids want it at the Clay Center because it is an absolutely gorgeous venue, and they just love it over there. And so, I don't know, and taking me out of my classroom for 5 days, when we only have 30 days as of today, we've only got 29 left. If I take out for 5 days, that's 24 days I have left to cover chemistry and physics. And it's a tested year. And for my juniors, they really need me. And we really need to push forth the content. I've been really trying to get them, I've been pushing it and really working them hard, and they're meeting me at every meet. But if I lose 5 days, then I've lost everything for the rest of that time afterwards. Because even when I was gone for Beta Convention, those 3 days, I lost 3 days of instruction because it just wasn't the same when I'm not there. Because I can answer those questions on a turn of a dime. So,
And we've checked around too, and I don't think there's any counties around us that host their proms in their gym anymore, is there?
no.
No one
there
does
are
that.
not.
Yeah, and it's, as far as a safety issue, those kids literally only have to travel a mile to the
Exactly.
Sterling.
Exactly.
And then to watch the kids while they're at the prom, it's still a better setup because it's a straight line view. And the community was over there last year for the walk-in.
It was overwhelming how
Yeah.
many were there, and I actually had to ask people to back away so the kids could actually walk in.
Yeah,
And I had to push the line back further. So it was a crowded event, and everybody was there. It was absolutely gorgeous. They loved it.
yeah. And actually, the parking was set up, I thought, better over there as a parent for us to be able to park. We didn't have to park as far to walk to the front door, or because it's shaped in a U or in a circle.
Yes.
And where they drive their car through, and someone picks up the car and drives on. But there was as many people there as there is here watching those kids, and the parking for us was better because it had that whole second parking lot next to that building where they were driving through. And the police officers over there ran that traffic perfect so that those kids could come through and their whatever they were driving or coming in on. So it was a good setup.
Yes, it was very well run, and the sheriff's department over there was very well and helped us with everything. Making sure that traffic was routed just right and everything flowed very smoothly.
Yeah, it was very, very nice.
Yes.
Does anybody have questions for Kim?
I have a comment.
Let Barb talk if she wants.
I'm very, very conflicted on this. I guess, like I had said earlier, I'm kind of old school, thinking that kids should have the prom in their school, but I did not realize that they're $5,000 cost.
It's because we have to completely transform that gym.
Does it have to be transformed? I mean, do you have to spend that much on decoration?
That's just basic plastic putting it up. That's just black plastic being taped up. That's not making it look really, really, really nice. And then and basically what we do is once we get it up there, the moment that we're done with it, it all goes in the trash. That's $5,000 of wasted money. Because we can't save it for the next year. Because it gets holes in it, because kids go through it, they lean on it, it gets messed up. And so you have to throw it all away and start all over the next year.
I've really thought about it over the weekend. Like I said, I'm very, very conflicted over it. So I'm still thinking about it. Kim,
Thank you.
go ahead.
Well, thank you for your consideration.
Yes, I wanted to say something. It was brought to my attention that it was going to be in Montgomery County this time. And I was under the impression it would be back here. But last year we only voted to have it in Montgomery County because of our gym. And tradition has it that it's always been here.
My understanding is that it originally was in Aduc.
It was years ago. That was before,
And that's right
before
now?
this school was built here.
Right, but
And
even
after-
then, that means it wasn't in Bath County, and right now, if we were to rent out Aduc, that's $10,000 that we don't have.
Well, a long time ago, they didn't have the option of being able to have it in a nice high school facility that we have now. And I understand there's probably more than one sponsor. It's usually the whole junior class teachers. No, it used to be that.
When I was prom sponsor, it was Leslie Workman and me that did it together. And I will say, you know, we put on a lot of proms in the gym together. There was 2 of us at the time. We only have 1 junior sponsor. She does it all just because, you know, she is the one that stepped up and volunteered to do it. When I was prom sponsor, it was Leslie and I, because we both stepped up to do it. You know, you can have 1 to 2, it doesn't matter. I will also say, like, when she was talking about decorations, there was times that we would buy those beautiful cardboard things that you set up, the kids take pictures in front of. They would cost $2,000 to $3,000 just for that setup, for at the end of the night, for us to throw a bunch of cardboard away. And I will say, when we did it at the Clay Community Center, that stuff doesn't happen anymore. Anything like we buy, we can recycle. So the centerpieces, we can recycle now. We don't have to worry about the tablecloths, which were plastic. They provide that for us. So there's a lot of things that is provided there for us that we don't have here. And so we're not watching thousands of dollars go in a trash can when we have it here. And I understand tradition because, you know, we all have our own family traditions and that's important. But also understand, you know, our kids also, you know, they have a voice too here as well. And, you know, they did love it there. So, I mean, I'm okay either way. We just need to know which way we're going to go with this. And we definitely are thankful for y'all's consideration on whichever way we go with it.
Well, you know, it's a little late now to be changing, especially after you ask the kids. Normally, the kids didn't have an option. And, you know, it was traditionally here, and it was never an option. You know, they weren't asked to vote, you know, if you want to have it here or there. So I don't know if it's something that the board needs to decide for sure where to have it at. That would be something we would have to consider.
Well, I definitely, we can change it this year. I think it's too late to try to change it this year. If they've got it, you know, scheduled and all the kids think they're going to the community center, then that's probably what we need to do this year.
I know when I talked to my child who will be going to the prom, you know, she said, nobody wants to get dressed up and go to their school because you come here every day and they work here every day. It'd be like now us getting dressed up and going to our workplace for a fancy dance. We would rather go to a place that's where we don't go every day. You know, something that's special to them. That's kind of like coming from the child's perspective. I don't feel like it's my prom. I think it's their prom.
Well, I think the majority, and I could be wrong, but the majority of the school districts usually have their prom in their school district.
Well, I know Nicholas County has it at the Neal Building. Fleming County has it at the Winery. Montgomery County does it at the Clay Community Center, which is part of their system.
Yes.
Fayette County, they have them in hotels.
What about Round County? Where do they have theirs at?
They have it, I think, at ADUC.
They have it at ADUC.
So-
Or either there or at the Downtown Conference Center. Depends on which one's cheaper for the year. But they've also got a bigger tax base. They also have a bigger thing for getting that money. Because like I said, I looked into it over the week, and it was $10,000 for us to even go to ADUC.
And all the money that we spend on prom is student generated, so it's all through fundraisers that our students generate. No, none of the money that comes for prom comes from school money.
So what do the students do with their money?
What?
What do the students do with their extra money?
So with their extra money, next year when they become seniors, because the juniors support the prom, so like this year, our senior class, because we were able to save so much money, they had about $11,000 extra. They went to Champs, they're going to Kings Island, they went bowling in a movie, they're gonna have their big spillway thing, and then they pay for graduation things such as their pamphlets, their flowers, any kind of extra stuff that we need for graduation, they pay for that as well, plus their senior t-shirts all come out. They have to spend all that money at the end of the year, so we're able to provide more for them as seniors with the extra money that they have from prom ticket sales.
Okay, one other question. Do you know of any student that could not go to prom due to transportation issues of getting to Montgomery County?
Well, last year, I know because of that, we did have a bus that took kids over that may not have been able to get over there, and we did have a bus that transported them from 10th Frame back here just in case there was a transportation issue. That way, that all of our students that want to go to prom, they're able to still get there. We want them to be able to go. We want every child that wants to go to prom to be able to go.
Okay.
So how many students do we actually have that go to prom?
We just started selling tickets today.
What's your normal?
My
like,
normal
last-
is usually around 300. 300 of our students go to prom.
Any other discussion? No. Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Okay. Our meeting is adjourned at 6:41. Do what? Oh, I'm so sorry. I'm sorry about that. Number 8 is discussion of 9.36 amended policy. For the athletic mileage. So we are gonna change it to 100? Okay. Okay. So is everyone aware of that? Okay. I just wanted to make sure we knew what that was. All right, now we'll try to adjourn. 6:42. Call the Bath County Board of Education regular meeting for March 23rd, 2026 at 7 p.m. Call to order. Discussion and possible action on tonight's agenda.
I make a motion to approve tonight's agenda as presented.
Second. All in favor? Aye. Where's my paper? Thank you. All right, you're okay. All right, let's stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag
To,
of the United States of America
and to the republic, indivisible, with liberty and justice.
All right. Number 4, the student spotlight for the Bath County Middle School.
Good evening. This evening, we are recognizing a new program that we have at the middle school and also spotlighting a few students who are participating in that program, and the program is called Level Up Band. We've been very fortunate over the years to have strong collaboration between our middle school and high school band directors. It's kept the Bath County Band program strong, and this year seems to be no exception. Ms. Haley Collier, our new middle school band director, developed the Level Up Band program. With the help of high school band director Mr. Nick Brewer, the program has been successful, even though it's fairly new, and fortunately they both had to be here for the new teacher meeting too, so this kind of worked out. So without further ado, Ms. Collier.
I talk really loud, but I'll use the microphone. Okay. So, Level Up Band. Where's Brad? Oh, he's up there. Okay, I see him. So like Ms. Johnson said, I'm Ms. Collier. This is my first year at Bath County Middle School, and I teach band and general music. So if you would do me a favor and raise your hand if you, at any point in time, were in a band class, ever. Like, raise it proud. Oh, yeah. Okay, that's good. So then, if you weren't in a band class, I want you to raise your hand if you wish you would have been, or if you're somebody who raised your hand before, raise your hand if you still remembered how to play that clarinet, or still wish you remembered how to play that flute. Yeah, okay, so some of us, okay. Yeah, okay. So what is Level Up Band? We keep saying it, Level Up Band, Level Up Band. And no, it's not a video game because I don't know how to program anything. So the idea came up when we had a honorary second winter break. And Mr. Brewer and I, Mr. Brewer, if you'll wave, that's the high school director. Mr. Brewer and I spent some time trying to come up with a solution to a question that we kept getting asked our first few weeks at Bath County. Ms. Collier, Mr. Brewer, how can I join band? You know, because we're like new faces. You know, we had a lovely middle school director that was there for a long time, so I was somebody entirely new, and same thing with Mr. Brewer. So that was where the idea kind of originated, and I would call Mr. Brewer frequently on those snow days. So, beginning band at nearly any school within 100 miles, you're only going to be able to join band in 6th grade, and that's normally just how it is. Some schools like Fayette County tend to start beginning band at like 4th grade. Now, I couldn't imagine teaching a bunch of instruments 4th graders. I mean, I do it with 6th graders, but you know. Eastern Kentucky typically starts with 6th grade, but beyond 6th grade, you don't really have the opportunity. It's like, well, you missed your chance, right? So, Level Up Band is, so when we came up with this idea, it's an after-school program, so we meet twice a week, Tuesdays and Thursdays, until about 4:45. And it allows students to receive small group instruction as well as one-on-one tutoring to kind of learn those basics before you really just dive headfirst into trying to read music, learn a thing that you've never touched before in your life, and also work around people and also puberty and all of those things, right? It's very overwhelming. So some of the students that are in Level Up, some of them, like Ms. Johnson said, are here in front of us, but that's just a list. So we have Gavin Burton, Jillian Purvis, who's a teaching assistant, Sophie Glon, Matthew Jones, James Devine, Hunter Lowell, Chloe Denice, Jalen Manley, Aubrey Burton, Chloe Butcher, Avery Vyers-Sims, Jaylee Haney, Joanna Anderson, and Rylan Helton. And sometimes you'll see, well, not sometimes, you see that some of those are secondaries. So that means that, well, I'll let Sophie tell what secondary is all about. So I'm going to have them stand up and wave and maybe turn around as I introduce them. So first up, we have Gavin Burton. So Gavin is in 7th grade, and he was one of those students that approached me like, I want to learn how to play an instrument. I want to join band. And then we have Miss Aubrey Burton. They're related, if you couldn't tell. Aubrey is in 8th grade, and when I had asked her, you know, Aubrey, why did you want to join Level Up Band? And they both kind of had a similar answer. I just want to be part of something new, and, you know, I think learning an instrument would just be really fun, but it's a lot of work. Jalen Manley. Woo-woo, yeah, you can clap for her if you want. Jalen Manley. Now, Jalen's already in band, okay? So she's been in band since 6th grade, but now she's in 8th grade, and she is practically one of my teaching assistants. So she's there to be an example. She's there to help catch things that maybe I don't catch all of the time. And then we have Sophie Glon. Now, Sophie, if you want to, yeah, you can come up here. She's a yapper like me, so I'll let her say, because Sophie's also in band, but...
So I originally wanted to do trumpet as one of the instruments, but at the time I couldn't play it, so I switched to flute and then clarinet. And Level Up Band gave me that opportunity to go back and attempt trumpet as my secondary.
Yeah. So on top of learning clarinet, she said, let's learn something else too. So she's adding something onto her arsenal there. Okay, so what we're going to do now. We've only had maybe like 4 total meetings together after school. One of them being mouthpiece testing, trying to decide what they're actually going to play. And then the second one really trying to understand rhythms and, you know, looking at a bunch of squiggles on a page and trying to understand what that means. All right, so I'm going to give you a little bit of a spiel because it's my duty as like a music teacher to talk about the importance of music education, and then I'm sure this will end soon, I promise. So music students outperform non-music students in achievement tests in reading and math. Skills such as reading, anticipating, memory, listening, forecasting, recall, and concentration are developed when you're learning a musical instrument. And these skills are valuable to students in math, reading, science, and to be good humans and live successful lives. The U.S. Department of Education data on more than 25,000 secondary school students show that students who report consistent high school and middle school involvement in instrumental music score significantly higher on tests involving mathematics proficiency. And then the last one, because Kentucky has officially converted to the SAT, I thought this was super relevant. The College Entrance Examination Board found that students involved in public school music programs scored 107 points higher on the SATs than students who didn't participate. Thank you. And I went ahead and did a little bit of math. So, you know, I can talk about national statistics all day long, but I wanted to draw attention to students in Bath County Band. In 6th grade band, the average GPA is 3.4, 7th grade band 3.2, 8th grade band 3.3, and in high school band, the GPA is 3.4, so, you know, well above 3.0. All this to say, band is for anybody, anywhere, anyplace, anytime. So I want to make sure anybody, even a fellow teacher, Miss Lucas, who teaches over at the middle school, wants to come join Level Up Band. So if any of my board members want to come back to band, I got your back. So thank you all for your support, and thank you for your time.
Thank you. And we are going to present some certificates to our students tonight for the Student Spotlight. Up first is Jalen Manley. Sophie Glon. Aubrey Burton. And Gavin Burton.
Thank you, guys. All right, the superintendent and board communications. Dr. Melton.
Board members, in the portal, you have several things, so I'm not going to go through every single thing that we've done the last month, but we've done a lot. There's been a lot going on. I did want to highlight that on March 13th, we did the annual March Against Drugs ceremony here in the town of Owensville. Monday, March 16th, we had KDE come in with Specialist Alexa Harden to help us with our Community Relations Committee, working on the Bath County Portrait of a Learner, and I think we're very close to bringing that to the board. We also had our new teacher cadres in attendance tonight, so our new teachers were here during the working session to watch how board working session works. And of course, last week I attended the KSA Education Law and Finance Leadership Conference and presented event planning and School Safety 101 there. I wanted to also make the board aware that we have completed our initial federal programs monitoring with KDE, which was last week, and that we will receive a report in about 6 to 8 weeks. It will come back to us from the individual programs, and in about 12 weeks, we will get our finished findings with a cumulative of all the programs. So that is communication. Under personnel actions, you'll see that there's new hires, resignations, retirements, transfers, and the FMLA request, and fundraisers, girls golf, softball, JAG, and drama are included.
Thank you. All right. Discussion and possible action on approving the following items. 6A, minutes from February 23rd, 2026. 6B, February financial statement. 6C, claims. 6D, superintendent expenditures. 6E, superintendent February 2026 working calendar. 6F, use of facility. 6G is travel. 6H, review of all monthly financial reports of all funds. 6I, pay bills through March 31st, 2026. J, pathways MOU. K, JAG MOU. L, renew audit contract with KGSG PSC. M, accepting bank bid. N, employee number 2776 contract request for 2026-27 school year. O, extended medical leave for employee number 2738. P, Family Resource Youth Service Center contract renewal July 1st, 2026 through June 30th, 2028. 6Q, EKU MOU. 6R, MOA for Vocational Rehabilitation Community Work Transition Program, the CWTP. 6S is the Bath County High School graduation date on May 30th, 2026 at 10 a.m. in the high school gymnasium. 6T is school-age childcare, SACC, rate change, and 6U, school-age childcare, SACC, program changes.
I make a motion to approve items A through U as presented.
All right, I'll second. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? 5-0 passes. Do we have any public comments? Okay. There's no public comments. All right, moving right along here. Discussion and possible action to accept the bid packages for their base bid and alternates on the Bath County Middle School renovation, BG number 25-084, 8A, BP 030, General Trades, Momentum Construction, 8B, do we need to do these individually? Can we do them as a group? Okay. 8B, BP 075 Roofing, DNI General Contracting. 8C, BP 210 Fire Protection, Brewer Fire Protection. 8D, BP 220 Plumbing and HVAC, Donahue Mechanical. 8E, BP 260 Electrical, Babcon Inc. Do I have a motion?
Motion.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Any opposed? 5-0, it carries. Discussion and possible action to approve the revised middle school renovation BG 1, BG number 25084.
I make that motion.
Motion made by Eric. Second by Ashley. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? 5-0, it carries. And discussion and possible action to adopt a resolution authorizing the Bath County School District Finance Corporation to issue revenue bonds.
The Bath County School Board resolution of the Board of Education of Bath County, Kentucky, confirming the acceptance of and an offer of assistance from the Kentucky School Facilities Construction Commission, authorizing and approving the execution of a participation agreement with said commission, authorizing and approving the execution of a lease agreement with the Bath County School District Finance Corporation and any further necessary instruments, approving certain architect's plans for the construction of a certain school building project, and approving the plan of financing the cost of said project.
Second.
Second by Eric. Motion made by Kim, second by Eric. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? 5-0 passes. Okay. Discussion and possible action on the special inspection services from UES for testing and inspections deemed as quality control testing for earthwork, asphalt, utilities, concrete, structural steel, etc., BG number 25-084.
I make a motion to approve as presented.
All right, I've got a motion made by Eric. second by Ashley. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? 5 and 0. Number 12, discussion and possible action on commissioning services from Facility Commissioning Group for HVAC, domestic hot water, and lighting controls, BG number 25084.
I make that motion to approve as presented.
All right, motion made by Eric. Ashley second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Discussion and possible action on the change order proposal credit of $5,176 from Gray Bar for the reduction in cost due to elimination of the switch gears emergency tap, BG number 25084.
I make a motion to approve as presented.
Motion made by Eric, second by Kim. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? 5 and 0, carries. Discussion and possible action on the Bath County High School prom location. I'll make the motion to have the Bath County Prom Committee to determine the location of the prom. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed?
Aye.
Any opposed? 5 and 0, carries. Discussion and possible action on the first reading of amended policy 9.36. I'll make the motion to approve the first reading of Bath County Schools Board Policy 936. Okay. Made by Carla, second by Ashley. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? 5 and 0, carries. Other business, I do believe we have something. Oh, she already put it in travel, okay. Does anybody have any other business? Nope. Okay, I'll make a motion to go into executive session pursuant to KRS 61.810, 1, C, possible litigation. Okay. Motion made by Eric. Or motion made by Carla, second by Eric. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? 5 and 0. Okay. All right, I got a motion to come out of closed session with no action taken.
I'll make that motion.
Second. Who said that? Okay, Ashley second, Eric made it. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? No. 5-0, and it goes. Motion to come out of, oh, I already did that. Make a motion to adjourn. And the time is 7:40.